Drake Maye's stock continues to rise while Jacoby Brissett's falls and the offensive line has some shakeups. All of that and more here on Pat's Cast.
Drake Maye's throwing long in Foxborough town. Rookie QB on the rise, he won't back down. Pat's Cast says he's turning heads.
Welcome to Pat's Cast. I'm Brad Whitaker. Visit expressvpn.com/PatsCast to get 3 months off of a 12-month annual plan. If you need a VPN, visit expressvpn.com/PatsCast to take advantage of this discount. But today was an interesting practice. Jerod Mayo opened with a press conference saying it's still a competition at quarterback. He did say Jacoby is still QB1, but that Drake Maye is in a competition with him, and he thinks Drake Maye is 100% ready to run an NFL huddle. Patriots obviously have a preseason game Sunday night against the Washington Commanders, and then Jerod Mayo said that either Monday or Tuesday they will know who the starting quarterback will be for week 1. And like I said, Drake Maye's stock continued to climb on Wednesday, in part because Jacoby Brissett's continues to fall. He opened up 11 on 11s on Wednesday, throwing an interception to Marcellus Dial against the scout defense. Didn't probably leave a good taste in the mouths of the coaching staff, whereas Drake Maye continues to look more and more confident out there and got some reps with the first team once again today. Now, this wasn't a huge practice. Patriots are basically in regular season mode now. They're treating Sunday's game against the Commanders like a regular season game, going through the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday practices you usually would do if you're preparing for a regular season opponent. They're working off cards. They have a scout defense, scout offense out there, and they're preparing for the Commanders as if it is a regular season game. Would expect we'll see both Jacoby Brissett and Drake Maye play even more time on Sunday, although I think there is a possibility if the Patriots know what they have with Brissett, they might consider starting Drake Maye and have him play at least the first half with the first team starters, seeing what you have, because that might help you evaluate better and make a decision. But as of right now, I haven't heard that. I think it will probably be Brissett and Maye going back-to-back on Sunday, as we saw in last Thursday's preseason game against the Eagles. But like I said today, most were team drills with starters versus the scout team out there, regular season style practice. But Drake Maye took more live reps with the starters than we've seen thus far, taking snaps from David Andrews behind center. Doesn't mean Jacoby Brissett didn't get the vast majority of the first team reps, but Maye did see 3 snaps with the first team compared to Brissett's 18, and when you count the additional second team snaps that Drake Maye was getting, he had a lot more snaps in today's practice than Jacoby Brissett did, and he outplayed him, mostly because Jacoby Brissett struggled, but Drake Maye continues to be able to make throws off platform, extend plays with his legs, has the arm strength that certainly Jacoby Brissett doesn't, and we're starting to see some real separation there. And I think Jacoby Brissett bounced back on Monday's practice. It was kind of neck and neck between him and Drake Maye, but if you're looking at the last 4 or 5, let's just say 5 practices, Drake Maye has outperformed Jacoby Brissett, it's safe to say, in 4 of those practices, and that continues to be the trend there. I mean, I don't know the argument at this point other than we don't want him to get beat up. We don't want him to lose his confidence, and we're not confident in our offensive line. I get that argument for the most part, but Jacoby Brissett is not going to put the team in a better position to win football games behind a bad offensive line. And Drake Maye, he's going to be able to hide those flaws a lot better than any of these quarterbacks on this roster, other than maybe Joe Milton, who I guess is nowhere near ready, and we certainly saw his flaws against the Eagles in last week's preseason game. But Drake Maye offers something that we really haven't seen at quarterback in New England since ever, really. I mean, I guess Cam Newton brought a new element to the quarterback position, but Drake Maye certainly trumps him in terms of arm strength and accuracy. And Maye is willing to extend plays with his legs, which he doesn't do a lot in training camp because he's trying to learn the offense and make sure he's staying in the pocket, going through his reads quickly, and acting like a pocket passer out there. But you know when you get him in a real game situation, everything is on the table in real game situations, uses his legs, maybe escaped the pocket a little too early in last Thursday's game and a few other plays, but is able to extend things in ways that Brissett cannot do. So, I would really hope the Patriots are considering starting Drake Maye in week one, especially if he goes out there and continues to outperform Jacoby Brissett in a real game situation on Sunday, then I think you have to really consider it. But I understand the argument. Just Drake Maye's gained, he's gained a lot of momentum these last 2 weeks. His improvement is night and day difference from where he was at the start of training camp. And I feel like if you sit him in the regular season, he's not getting the reps in practices that a starting quarterback normally would be, or if he's helping the scouting team and emulating other quarterbacks, well, that's just going to slow his development. And, I think you want to continue to build on the momentum that he has at this moment in time. And if that means demoting Jacoby Brissett to second on the QB depth chart, so be it. He's not the future franchise quarterback. Drake Maye is, at least potentially. And I don't want to see him take a step back after all the progress that he's made the last 2 weeks. And if he continues to perform on Sunday, I think that should be a strong enough case to consider starting him week one against the Cincinnati Bengals. But we'll see what happens. Now, there was an injury at today's practice on the offensive line. Left tackle Vederian Lowe left practice early with an apparent left torso injury. And look, I have been very critical of Vederian Lowe, but don't want to see him get injured. We want him to be on the field, even if Patriots fans, and certainly myself, do not want him in the starting lineup. The truth is he's had a very good camp, from what everyone has said, and he's a good backup tackle to have out there. Yeah, none of us want to see Vederian Lowe starting at left tackle, which looks like would have been the case week one if he didn't get injured, and maybe he'll recover and be back in the starting lineup by week one. But you still want him on the roster because Patriots are so slim at tackle. Calvin Anderson has not been consistent in training camp, and Vederian Lowe has been fairly consistent, even if it hasn't shown up in the real actual preseason games. But you still want him out there, and you want him ready to go. But this presents an opportunity for Caden Wallace to earn the starting left tackle spot, where the Patriots at least intended on putting him long-term when they drafted him in the early rounds this year. Even though he played right tackle at Penn State, they say he's more than capable of developing into an NFL left tackle. If Vederian Lowe isn't available on the left side, that probably will be Caden Wallace's job on week one, and that looked to be the case today because Caden Wallace came in and replaced Vederian Lowe at left tackle when he went down with an injury. He also spent some time in today's practice at the right tackle position, so perhaps the Patriots would consider putting Chuks Okorafor at the starting left tackle spot if they're more comfortable with Caden Wallace playing the right tackle spot. But assuming Vederian Lowe isn't able to be out there week one, that's a big assumption at this point, so take it with a grain of salt. But if that is the case, it looks like the two tackles will be Caden Wallace and Chuks Okorafor. We just don't know where they'll be lining up. And then Sidy Sow at left guard, David Andrews at center, and Michael Wenu at the right guard spot. However, Leighton Robinson seems to be gunning for Sidy Sow's job at the left guard spot. He's performed much better in the preseason games than Sidy Sow has, and he's had a very strong camp. Greg Bedard considers Leighton Robinson at this point in time to be their third best offensive lineman behind Michael Wenu and David Andrews. And if that's really the case, then yeah, he should be starting at left guard in place of Sidy Sow, who hasn't been very consistent, although he was very consistent a few weeks ago, but just has not played well in actual real game situations. And this also means the Patriots might consider what we all thought would happen heading into this season, which is putting Michael Wenu over at the right tackle spot. He was signed in the offseason with right tackle money to a contract extension and has been preparing all offseason to play the right tackle spot, where he played very well last year when Bill Belichick finally moved him over there in the latter portion of the season. That might be an ideal scenario, and then you're able to put guys like Leighton Robinson at right guard and Michael Wenu at right tackle, and then you put the best available left tackle out there, whether that is Caden Wallace, Chuks Okorafor, or Vederian Lowe, if he's healthy. I think this opens up that opportunity. I'm not sure why the Patriots haven't played Michael Wenu at right tackle much throughout camp. He's played there a little bit, but I'd say 95% of the time he's been taking reps at right guard, where he's very good. He's one of the best guards in the NFL, but with all the holes on this offensive line and with guys like Layden Robinson and Sidy Sow, who seem to be more than competent at the guard spot, the most efficient offensive line out there may involve Mike Onwenu at right tackle. So we'll see how that develops in the coming days, if Onwenu continues to play at right guard in Sunday's preseason game, or if they move him over to right tackle, or if he takes reps at both spots. We'll see. But, I mean, that would be my choice, is you put Caden Wallace or Chuks Okorafor at left tackle. You keep Sidy Sow at left guard, where he's been all of training camp. David Andrews, of course, at center. And then Layden Robinson at right guard. He's kind of moved back and forth, although he's played primarily at the left guard spot. And Onwenu at the right tackle position. I think that's ideal, and I think that's what the Patriots really want to do long term. It's just, do they think that offensive line is ready? And are you creating a hole by moving Mike Onwenu from right guard to right tackle when you're fairly confident at left guard, center, and right guard that you're at least going to have a wall in the center, and then the quarterbacks can step up in the pocket if the tackles aren't performing? I get that argument, but I think overall the best offensive line has Mike Onwenu at right tackle. We just haven't really seen it much, but with Vederian Lowe going down in today's practice, there's probably going to be even more reshuffling on that offensive line, even though they've been reshuffling throughout all of training camp. But they need to solidify this thing in the coming days, because this is the glaring unit. This is the glaring hole on the roster. It's not quarterback, it's not wide receiver, it's certainly not tight end or running back, and it's certainly not anywhere on the defense. It's the offensive line. Patriots really need to figure that out in the coming days, and they've certainly struggled throughout all of training camp, but I will say offensive line has looked pretty good, at least in the first half when they had the first and second units out there in the first two preseason games. Now, they're going against second and third team pass rushers, and I'm not sure Washington's going to be playing a lot of their first team on Sunday. We'll see. But they got to figure it out. And hopefully they will figure it out. And the offensive line, if the O-line is like 15th in the NFL, like, this team is they're not going to win the Super Bowl, but they're going to win a lot more games than we're expecting. It really all comes down to that offensive line, and it doesn't come down to the quarterback. So hopefully Gerard Mayo and company will be able to figure that out in the coming days. We'll see if Mike Onwenu moves to right tackle, and we'll be checking up on the status of Vederian Lowe and if he returns to that starting O-line unit. Big development today at the kicker spot. It has been a wide open competition between veteran Joey Sly and second-year kicker Chad Ryland, who really struggled last year. They've been neck and neck. They've made basically the same number of kicks, same number of misses throughout all of training camp, but Sly's been the one who's been getting the real kicks in the preseason games, while Chad Ryland has been getting the extra points. Well, Joey Sly went 4 for 4 today on all of his field goals, while Chad Ryland went 1 for 4. Missed a 41-yarder, a 47-yarder, and a 51-yarder. And I think the only reason the Patriots are keeping him on the roster is if Joey Sly really looks like he's struggling and he's not ready to continue being an NFL kicker. But I think Joey Sly pulled slightly ahead today, and it's not about the makes in training camp for Chad Ryland. It's about the makes in regular season games where he struggled in big game situations. Last year, lost the game to the Giants where his kick should have put the Patriots in overtime against New York. Missed that kick. Did hit a clutch kick against Denver, which would have given us the number 2 overall pick. That would have been nice. But he hasn't been consistent, and I think the Patriots know that, and that's why they really want Joey Sly to win that job, and it's possible he won that job today, unless he really struggles on Sunday. So it's Joey Sly's job to lose at this point, in my opinion. He continues to make his kicks in the preseason game and in the remaining practices. I wouldn't be surprised if Chad Ryland is ultimately cut. As great of a foot as Chad Ryland has, he's just not the most accurate in clutch situations. I think Joey Sly will probably be their starting kicker for the 2024 season. Some other notes from today's practice. Javon Baker doesn't look like he's going to be in the starting lineup. He'll make the team, certainly, but with all the struggles that we've seen from Javon in recent weeks, he was very good at the start of training camp, certainly makes big splash plays that I don't think any of the other receivers on the team are capable of making. He just hasn't been consistent enough, and he ran with the second string offense at Wednesday's practice, along with the scouting team unit. So Javon Baker, again, going to make the team, but don't expect to see him get a ton of playing time. Like, he'll get reps in regular season games, but he's certainly not going to be in the starting lineup there. And the top unit is seemingly Tyquan Thornton, Jalen Polk, and Demario Douglas, with KJ Osborne, the veteran receiver from Minnesota that we brought in, being mixed in. So Osborne may not be in the starting lineup, and I think Tyquan Thornton is going to get rewarded, even though he's not consistent in actual game situations. He's been consistent throughout training camp. I think it's his job to lose at this point, but Polk and Douglas pretty much have their spots locked up, and Thornton probably will be the starter with Osborne being mixed in, and if Thornton struggles, as he's done many times, or he's unable to stay on the field, as he's done many times, then KJ Osborne will be in that starting unit in all likelihood. And then, of course, Kendrick Bourne will be coming back at some point. I would assume he'll be the starter, and if that's the case, the odd man out is clearly Tyquan Thornton or KJ Osborne if Tyquan Thornton has been demoted at that point. But I don't really know what's going on with Kendrick Bourne. I thought we'd at least see him on the field in some practices. We've seen him out in sweats and stuff, but really haven't heard much from him. I don't think he's going to be ready to go week one. Haven't seen any indicators that he will be ready, but should be ready at some point during the season, and he'll be in that starting unit with those receivers because he's earned it, and the Patriots have paid him like a starting wide receiver. So we'll see more on Bourne, but right now it seems to be Thornton, Polk, and Douglas in the starting unit for the receivers, and KJ Osborne being mixed in occasionally. And then some other good news today. Backup center / guard Nick Leverett returned to the field from an injury. You really need him just for some depth on that offensive line, particularly at the center position, because Antonio Maffei and Fornadol, the other guy who's been taking reps at center, not very good. I know Fornadol's had a good camp, but he was the reason the Patriots lost that last preseason game, had a number of bad snaps throughout that game, whereas Nick Leverett, ideally, he's not out there at center, but he's more than competent at snapping the ball to the quarterback and being a veteran presence out there if David Andrews goes down. So big drop off after Nick Leverett on that depth chart at the center position. But hopefully David Andrews plays the whole season. He was healthy all of last year. But you want a guy like Nick Leverett on that depth chart in case Andrews does go down, especially at this point in his career where injuries are highly likely. But very interesting practice. Again, it wasn't a big practice because the Patriots were kind of going through the motions out there with the scouting team, but Drake Maye outperformed Jacoby Brissett once again. That has been the story for the last week or so. And even the practice on Monday where they were kind of even, Brissett had a good 2-minute drill at the end of practice. Drake Maye was still up there. He still had a good practice. So I don't know. I say you put the quarterback out there that's going to put the team in the best position to win. I get the argument. I also get the job security argument for guys like Alex Van Pelt and even Gerard Mayo. Hey, no one expects us to win this year. We're going to put Jacoby Brissett out there for a little while. And then at least if we struggle, we'll have the excuse that, hey, we're rebuilding and we'll be much better when Drake Maye is ready. I hope that's not the cynical situation that we're in right now. But you got to put the better quarterback out there. And this is a business, too. Patriots fans, we want to see the quarterback of the future out there. We want to buy jerseys of Drake Maye. Patriots need more revenue. There's not a lot of faces of the franchise right now. Matthew Judon's gone. So who's the face of the franchise other than Drake Maye right now? Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, David Andrews, Kyle Duggar, Christian Gonzalez? I'm not sure. I mean, these guys jerseys aren't going to be flying off the shelves for these guys. You got to get Drake Maye out there. Not just because he's a better quarterback right now, but for entertainment value, to give fans hope. That's why I hope they do it. But as of right now, at least according to Gerard Mayo, Jacoby is still QB1, but it's still a competition, and they will name their starting quarterback Monday or Tuesday. He also said, I may not tell the media Monday or Tuesday, but we will tell the team by then who will be starting week one. And we'll be here at Pat's Cast to cover it all the way and throughout the rest of the week and through Sunday's preseason finale against the Washington Commanders. You like this video, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, or subscribe if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and we'll see you throughout the rest of the week.
Drake Maye's throwing long in Foxborough town. Rookie QB on the rise, he won't back down. Pat's Cast says he's turning heads every day. Young gun breaking through the fray. Jacoby on the sideline watching, feel the tension building. wonders who will take the lead. Will Drake Maye plant victory's seed? Rookie on the rise, Pats can't steer it. Can he swap the job? Pats can't steer it. Drake Maye taking charge, keep on fighting. Is he the one? Will the future brighten? Every pass he throws, a story told. Young and fierce, heart of gold. Pats cast buzzing, hips are shaking. Drake Maye got the whole stadium quaking. Veteran wits, Jacoby's got the smarts. Long season ahead, playing with their hearts. Pats cast questions every single week. Will miracle come quarterback so sleek? Rookie on the rise, Pats cast hear it. Can he swap the job? Pats cast cheer it. Drake Maye taking charge, keep on fighting. Is he the one? Will the future brighten? Rookie on the rise, Pats cast hear it. Can he swap the job? Pats cast cheering. Drake Maye taking charge, keep on fighting. Is he the one? Will the future brighten?